Hello and welcome to the Talk Villa podcast. I'm your host Samit Paul, and finally, after a dreadful start to the season, we've now got some positivity, goals and wins to discuss as Aston Villa battle to get back on track. Apologies for the unwanted early hiatus on the pod. I can assure you I wasn't sulking over the results as a horrible flu sidelined me for a couple of weeks, but we are now back. After our win over Bologna in our Europa League opener last week, Villa followed that up with a 3-1 win over Fulham on Sunday. Now, although there is still plenty of work to do and improvement to come, we are finally starting to see the spark return to an extent, and wins certainly breed confidence and belief again. We'll have a deep dive into the Fulham game with my 5 key talking points shortly, but Unai Emery spoke to Villa TV after the game, so let's have a listen to what he had to say about our 3-1 win first.
Happy for the supporter, happy because today we really showed our energy. Not at the beginning of the match because we were under our plan, how we needed to start the match, and we conceded 1 goal. We were a little bit poor in our individual wishes to play dominating and imposing, but we reacted progressively. We were getting better, and we draw, and was very important for our confidence, scoring 1 goal, and then as well we continue transmitting our energy. The supporters, they were as well. They were helping with their energy, and I think it's very important here to try to create again a huge atmosphere, good atmosphere with the supporter, with our energy, and try to build here our structure strong like we did, and necessary to feel here strong. And the opponent coming here, they have to struggle it in case they want to get some point.
That was Unai Emery speaking to Villa TV after the game. So on to my 5 key talking points then, and we'll start with Villa showing improvement, particularly in the second half within that period of scoring a quick-fire double to take the lead. I thought there were clear signs that Villa were starting to feel like themselves again. We saw them playing with energy, urgency, and we started to apply pressure on Fulham to impose ourselves on the game more effectively. And I feel as though after we went 3-1 ahead, when you started to see that confidence come back, we started to win 50-50s with more consistency, and there was a shift in our approach and belief in the players, and I think that's ultimately what confidence can do. There was also the return of the higher press, which I thought was really important. You saw John McGinn go close in the first half after he was snapping away at the Fulham players deep in their own half on the edge of their box. On that occasion, unfortunately, he couldn't find a finish, but then we saw Lamar Bogard win possession in similar fashion in the Fulham half as he pushed forward. That in turn led to Buendia picking up possession, and then he set up John McGinn to go on his way to put us ahead. That's a sign for me of a confident Villa side, which is prepared to step up and squeeze our opponents. Although it comes with an element of jeopardy as well, as we're obviously deploying a high line in that case, and you saw that we were vulnerable on the counter-attack with Fulham's pace and ability to break at our defence. I thought the decision to step up and press higher was really important to sort of set the tone, get the fans going behind us, and show a different side to us rather than the passive performances that we've seen in recent weeks. So hopefully this is a starting point. Hopefully the players will be more confident in applying that tactical setup and approach, and we'll see that implemented effectively moving forward. Now, of course, that confidence can quickly disappear, just as we've seen through the opening few weeks of the season, so we've got to maintain our level. Emery has insisted after our last few games that he's seen improvement, but I think in this game in particular, he'll be delighted with the application from the players. The Villa boss also deserves praise himself because I think he identified a Fulham weakness and exploited it really well. You saw us go with a more direct approach at times with long balls over the top to mix things up with our other approach to a slow build-up through the lines. Particularly, you saw Ollie Watkins take full advantage of that with his goal. There was a massive space between the two Fulham centre-halves. Luca Dean with the ball over the top and Ollie Watkins with a fantastic finish. So I think Emery got his approach, his game plan spot on in this one, and that helped us get the 3 points. On to the second point, and that's Pau Torres reiterating his importance and influence. Now, I've obviously got to temper this with the fact that it came with Tyrone Mings going off injured, and we never want to see any of our players go off injured. But the introduction of Pau, I thought, was arguably key to our ability to secure the win. I think Pau gives us composure and quality to play those intricate passes into midfield, and that in turn adds rhythm and cohesion to our play. But I thought quite impressively as well, given the question marks over his defending in the past, that he dealt with the physicality and pace of Adama Traore very efficiently. That's, like I say, that's a weak part of his game since he joined us, but I thought he did really well in that regard as well. And I think he's done more than enough in the last 2 games now to cement his place back in the side. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see if Mings is now sidelined by his injury, which in turn will mean Pau gets the opportunity anyway. But particularly without no Yuri Tielemans in the team, Pau is crucial to playing our preferred style of play. And I think with opponents continuing to now pack the midfield to cut off the central passing lanes, that's forcing us wide into playing the ball into our fullbacks, and you're seeing us struggle to build our play that way. So having Pau in that role is massive for us. On to the third point, and that's John McGinn leading by example. Now, naturally, his goals will back up that statement more than any other part of his game, but I think McGinn has stood up and made the difference to help drag us out of this slump that we've been in. Both of his strikes have been quality finishes, and that in itself has galvanised not only the team but the fans. You saw the reaction from the fans against Bologna when he scored. That really settled the nerves and got the fans back behind the players. But also you saw Villa Park rocking on Sunday after he smashed in another goal. We're not at the woods yet. We've got a lot more work to do and a lot more improvement to do. But McGinn's been central to that upturn in form with his trademark energy, urgency and tenacity. And I think he's been so important in our turnaround over the past few days. And hopefully he can continue to do that. On to the fourth point, and it is Emi Buendia appreciation time. Now, a lot of you who have followed me on social media, on the website, through the newsletter, know that I've got a soft spot for Emi Buendia. I've backed him since he arrived at the club to succeed. I thought he's a great player, and it just hasn't really quite worked for him up to this point. We probably all thought that his time at Villa was coming to an end last season after his loan spell at Bayer Leverkusen. And I think many reacted in a sort of dismissive fashion when they saw him coming on at half-time for Harvey Elliott on Sunday. He had a positive pre-season. Things have aligned in favour of him staying with us, and I think he's now relishing the opportunity to play a part for us again. I think if we cast our minds back to prior to his injury setback, he was actually starting to cement his place in the Villa 11 and thrive under Emery. I thought he was a trusted component in implementing Emery's desired tactical setup and approach, and that was obviously derailed entirely by his devastating knee injury. Having now worked his way back through a grueling rehabilitation process, the one thing you can say about Buendia is that he's never been shy in expressing his desire to help Villa, be it through his actions on the pitch or his words off it by reiterating his commitment to the club. And I just think it's so good to see him making the difference and playing a key role in a winning cause. You can't fault him for effort, determination and desire. I think he gives everything when he steps on the pitch. Admittedly, I agree with the criticism at times that he doesn't always get his pass right and he's perhaps a little bit too lightweight and he's not consistent enough in showing the quality needed at this level. But he has the courage to try those passes, and I think that goes a long way when others perhaps shy away when the pressure's on. I think you can rely on Buendia to at least try and spark us into life and give us that bit of quality and flair in the final third to get us going. So really pleased for him, and hopefully he can continue to play an important role in the season. Finally, the final point is Ollie Watkins kickstarting his season with a vital goal. He badly needed that goal, and while Morgan Rogers has perhaps gained unwanted attention due to his poor performances, Watkins has also been really struggling through the start of the season, and his penalty miss against Bologna certainly wouldn't have helped his confidence. Finally, though, he's back on the score sheet, and he did so in fine fashion with an excellent controlled lob over the goalkeeper. And it's now hoped that really sparks him into life and Villa into life on a consistent basis in the final third. I think you could see the relief and the joy in his celebration. And also, we've seen under Emery how once he breaks that duck and he gets his goal, he does tend to have a habit of going on a run of goal-scoring form. And hopefully that not only inspires him, but it inspires those around him to find that next gear to get going as well. I think you could see the impact of the goal, what it did for his confidence, just with his assist for the third goal for Buendia's goal. He made a clever run out wide in the space to find space in the box. He dragged defenders with him to open space up for Buendia in the middle for other teammates to exploit. And I just think that passage of play, although it wasn't as important as his goal, I think that showed what his confidence levels are at and how he can impact our play by rediscovering his decisive touch in the final third through his creativity and ability to provide assists as well. So that's a wrap on this episode of the Talk Villa podcast. Thanks for listening. I really do appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Please subscribe to the pod or channel, depending on where you're listening, either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or YouTube. as I really hope to build a great community of Villa fans here. Give the episode a like or leave a review if you've enjoyed it. Check out talk-villa.com for news throughout the week and sign up to the Talk Villa Plus newsletter on Substack. All the details will be in the description of the podcast, but for more, take a look at the website or at The Talk Villa on X. It's been a good week, with Feyenoord and Burnley up next ahead of the international break. Let's hope we can keep trending in the right direction, keep stacking up the wins, and continue to build our confidence and form back up, get back to the level that we know we're capable of. But until next time, that's it for this podcast. Up the Villa.